Hello, Blue Jays fans, and welcome back to another video. It is time to celebrate, obviously, as we head to the World Series. And boy, is it going to be interesting as we go up against probably one of the best teams in baseball right now, the LA Dodgers. Man, oh man, we have so many questions that we need to answer as we rev up for Friday's first game. And we're here to talk about it. I have so many thoughts. Brandon has so many thoughts, and I'm so scared about Shohei Ohtani. But let's get right into it, Brandon. What are you thinking right now for the Blue Jays?
Yeah, I'll say, right off the top of the bat, the Blue Jays just went up against probably the second best rotation in baseball in the Seattle Mariners and barely, just barely came out on top. Now they're going to face the best rotation in baseball in the Dodgers. The Dodgers starting pitching has been outrageous this post. I mean, really, just go look at the box scores from the Brewers game. Blake Snell threw 8 shutout innings. Yoshinobu Yamamoto threw a complete game. Shohei Ohtani had a 6 inning shutout when he also hit 3 home runs. It was probably the greatest performance I've ever seen live. I mean, Tyler Glasnow's an unbelievable pitcher. It's a gauntlet. And again, that means the Blue Jays are going to be at a big disadvantage in the starting pitching game. Again, Kevin Gausman's a great starting pitcher. Trey Savage has had a really nice postseason. Shane Bieber's, showed up when it mattered most. But I mean, this is a David versus Goliath situation. That being said, the Dodgers bullpen is very weak yet again. It's definitely the weak point for them. It's the thing that the Blue Jays need to try to attack. And obviously, what that means is they need to try to get these starters out of the game early. They need to work counts, which, the Milwaukee Brewers were a very patient lineup. They're very good at getting pitchers out of the game. Could not do that against the Dodgers. That's, much easier said than done. But again, the Dodgers bullpen is a little bit of a mess right now. Blake Trinan has had command issues. Alex Vesia is a good lefty, but he's certainly not the sort of shutdown reliever that you tend to see this late in the postseason. Roki Sasaki, who's obviously that Japanese phenom who snubbed the Blue Jays for the Dodgers over last offseason, he's been turned into their closer, who's really good, but obviously he's still very young. He's a rookie. Pitching in the World Series as a closer is a very difficult thing to do. So, there is absolutely something for the Blue Jays to exploit here. It's very difficult to do with the Dodgers.
Absolutely. And again, I like the point that you made about just playing the Mariners, and all hope kind of seemed lost in the first few games for our Blue Jays. And yet we were able to turn it around quite a bit in the middle parts of our games. Again, I do want to be a little bit of a realist here. We did make it by the skin of our teeth in game seven, but it's something to still be proud of. We have 7 games to go off of here, and again, I do believe that going up against the Dodgers is a learning experience. Hopefully, in the first game, we don't, completely bite the bullet, and it's not like a 10-1 game. But if it is, again, it's a learning experience nonetheless, and I don't want to speak this into reality. Hopefully, it is not that. But like you said, we have a great bullpen, which unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, but fortunately, the Dodgers do not have right now. Again, people like Shane Bieber, Kevin Gausman, these are the guys that you want on the mound right now. And so if, like you said, we can shut down, you know, the Dodgers, then we should be fine. Thinking about people like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, even our newer, not newer, but like less known players like Kiner Falefa, I'm very confident in these players after watching them play the Mariners that they can shut down the Dodgers bullpen 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Blue Jays offense, as we've seen throughout this postseason, I mean, they've laid the hurt on the Yankees and the Mariners in a bunch of different contests. These guys, I mean, the Blue Jays can hit. There's no question about it. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been otherworldly this postseason. Obviously, George Springer just had arguably his signature moment of his career. He obviously had a lot of signature moments with the Astros, but I mean, that was really an iconic home run that he hit. Nathan Lukes has been really good. Alejandro Kirk's had his moments. I mean, again, it's a deep lineup that the Blue Jays have. There's star power. There's guys who get on base, set up guys at the top of the lineup. I mean, it's a really deep lineup. That being said, the Dodgers also have a very deep lineup too. I mean, obviously, Shohei Ohtani is he's singularly great. I mean, we've talked about this before that he's just simply the best player in baseball right now. It's hard to keep him contained. You know, That being said, though, before that three homer performance, he was struggling in the postseason. So hopefully, obviously that wasn't him getting out of that rut. Hopefully, he'll continue to struggle. But obviously the issue becomes that beyond him, there's Mookie Betts, there's Freddie Freeman, there's Teoscar Hernandez, there's Max Muncy. I mean, it's a murderer's row that they run out there. And again, in conjunction with their starting pitching, it's a really, really good group of players. There's a reason they're the reigning champions. There's a reason they're going to be the favorites against the Blue Jays. And again, it's just going to be a situation where Toronto unequivocally has to come out hot. They cannot get down to, they have home field advantage in this series. They cannot get down 2-0 like they did to the Mariners. The Dodgers are not going to give up that kind of advantage like the Mariners just did. This is an experienced Dodgers team. This is a team that has a lot of champions on it. The Blue Jays are going to have to overcome the odds to win this thing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think my closing remark here, and then I'll throw it to you for a closing remark, is I believe in an underdog story. The Blue Jays are the underdog story here for, I think, many of the MLB fans at this point who even are not Blue Jays fans. They're rooting for the Blue Jays at this
Oh yeah.
point. So I'd like to believe that, just with most of the MLB on their back right now, that, we can do this. And I mentioned in another video, but the Blue Jays have some days to rest at this point. For most of this series, it's been back-to-back work for these guys. So they have some days to rest and some days to think about what they need to do next. So that's always a good sign. And I'm looking forward to Friday's game. What's your kind of closing remarks here, Brandon?
Yeah, I think the underdog angle is really important because it's sort of hard to remember now, but last year the Blue Jays finished last place in the division. They were 74 and 88 in 2024. They're in the World Series right now. I mean, they've literally gone worst to first. And I mean, this is winning the pennant for the first time in 30 plus years. I mean, obviously, sort of getting the monkey off the back that that team with like Jose Bautista and Edward Encarnacion from a decade ago couldn't do, and getting to the World Series, that's all great. But I mean, again, it's this team has the momentum right now. Obviously, they were the first seed in the American League. They have the home field advantage on the Dodgers. And like you said, pretty much everyone outside of Los Angeles is going to be rooting for the Blue Jays. Obviously, again, having home field advantage in Canada is pretty not insignificant thing because that means a lot of Dodgers fans won't be able to get to the games in Toronto, and that obviously will hopefully help the Blue Jays out when they're hosting games. But I think the big thing to remember is just you know sure they're the Blue Jays are the big underdog right now. Sure, the Dodgers are the super team in baseball, but the Blue Jays weren't even supposed to be here. I mean, this time a year ago, questions were, could this core even get to the playoffs? Could this core ever win a playoff series? And now they're in the World Series. And so I think, my belief is just, look, they weren't supposed to be here, and here they are. Let's see what happens. These guys have the momentum. They just came out in a epic 7 game set against the Mariners. They know how to play close games. They know how to blow out opposing teams as we've seen against the Yankees. I'm really confident in the Blue Jays, and overall, I'm hoping obviously that they beat the Dodgers. But as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. How are you feeling going into the World Series? Are you attending any games? I know the ticket prices are starting to go a little crazy.
Do you want to
Um,
buy us tickets to a game?
Let us know your thoughts, and as always, we'll try to respond to every single one.